Hello, my name is Emily Carter. I still remember the day I thought I had found a love that was meant to last forever. A love intertwined with trust and a shared dream of success. I married Jonathan Carter, a man whose charm and unwavering promise made me believe that together we could conquer any challenge, both in life and in business. In those early days, our home was filled with laughter, hope, and the quiet hum of ambition. I spent my mornings in our cozy home office, a place that soon became the sanctuary where our visions for the future were born. I oversaw our thriving business, pouring my heart into what I believed was a partnership built on mutual respect and shared goals. Yet, hidden behind his warm smiles and comforting reassurances, a betrayal was silently brewing. I started noticing small anomalies: a missed dinner here, a cryptic phone call there, and subtle discrepancies in our financial records that I initially dismissed as innocent mistakes. But as time passed, those minor irregularities began to weave a dark tapestry of deception. One chilly morning, with the soft light of dawn filtering through the windows, I sat alone at our desk, surrounded by faded photographs and stacks of business documents. In that quiet solitude, I discovered something so shocking it shattered the foundation of my trust: unauthorized transfers totaling exactly $1 million. The reality of this betrayal hit me like a tidal wave, leaving my heart in ruins. Amid the overwhelming pain, a single verse from the Bible echoed in my mind: Matthew 6 verse 33. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. That moment marked the point where despair met determination, and I resolved to reclaim not only the money but also the dignity that I had lost. This is where my journey of betrayal, heartache, and inexorable determination begins. A journey that transforms anguish into empowerment and darkness into the promise of a new dawn. At first, it was the small things, nearly imperceptible details that over time began to chip away at the perfect facade I once believed in. I remember how Jonathan's once warm smile dimmed ever so slightly on ordinary evenings. He would excuse himself with vague reasons to take private phone calls while I was left pondering at the kitchen table with my untouched dinner. There was a strange silence in the spaces where conversation used to flow effortlessly. I started noticing subtle discrepancies in our daily financial records, tiny miscalculations here and there that I brushed off as human error at first. Yet, these small irregularities, a delayed return from meetings, hushed laughter on the phone, and the soft sound of someone whispering in a room meant only for intimacy, started to paint a picture of secrecy and hidden truths. With each passing day, those seemingly inconsequential moments compounded into a lingering unease, a sense that something was amiss. I spent sleepless nights reviewing receipts and bank statements, each page hinting at a secret I was desperate to understand. Even as I maintained the routine of our life together, the rising tide of suspicion grew impossible to ignore. Every unexplained phone call and every missing detail seemed to whisper that my partner was hiding more than just a minor flaw in our story, that he was gradually unraveling our bond in ways I hadn't dared to imagine. One fateful evening, as the world outside quieted into a deep, reflective silence, I found myself alone in our home office, a space that had once symbolized hope and shared dreams. The soft hum of the computer, the gentle glow of the desk lamp, and the lingering aroma of coffee created an atmosphere that now felt heavy with foreboding. With a heart burdened by the subtle warnings of earlier days, I opened our digital ledgers to review the routine financial transactions. At first, the figures appeared ordinary, mere digits in a never-ending stream of numbers. But as I delved deeper, a chill ran down my spine when I noticed a series of transactions that simply did not belong. My eyes widened as the reality began to emerge. Unauthorized transfers, carefully obscured among regular entries, had siphoned exactly $1 million from our accounts. I remember the shock vividly. It was as if time had slowed and the room filled with a deafening silence. Every number, every date, and every small detail coalesced into an undeniable proof of betrayal. The figures were precise, not a penny more or less, and I instantly knew that someone had meticulously orchestrated this deception. The crushing weight of that discovery hit me like a tidal wave, leaving my heart pounding with disbelief and a profound sense of loss. In that moment of despair, the remembrance of a cherished verse, Matthew 6 verse 33, resonated within me. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Those words became my beacon, piercing through the darkness of betrayal with a promise of eventual restoration. As I sat there, trembling yet determined, I meticulously documented every irregular entry. I printed out each digital receipt and cross-referenced the dates and amounts until the full extent of the deceit was clear. I could feel a strange mix of sorrow and empowerment. The betrayal had shattered a cherished illusion, yet it simultaneously ignited a spark of resistance within me. That night, amidst the soft clatter of the keyboard and the low hum of the machinery, the true extent of the crime was laid bare before my eyes, a theft of dreams as much as of dollars. It was the turning point in my life, a painful but necessary awakening that would soon lead me down the path to reclaiming the dignity and security that had been so ruthlessly stolen. As I sat there, trembling yet determined, I meticulously documented every irregular entry. I printed out each digital receipt and cross-referenced the dates and amounts until the full extent of the deceit was clear. I could feel a strange mix of sorrow and empowerment. The betrayal had shattered a cherished illusion, yet it simultaneously ignited a spark of resistance within me. That night, amidst the soft clatter of the keyboard and the low hum of the machinery, the true extent of the crime was laid bare before my eyes, a theft of dreams as much as of dollars. It was the turning point in my life, a painful but necessary awakening that would soon lead me down the path to reclaiming the dignity and security that had been so ruthlessly stolen. In the wake of that shattering discovery, I vowed that I would not let despair define me. The sting of losing $1 million fueled a quiet, burning determination within me, a determination to reclaim not only the stolen money, but the very dignity that had been shattered by betrayal. That very night, within the intimate confines of my study, I began formulating my plan of revenge, a measured, methodical strategy steeped in truth and careful precision rather than reckless anger. I started by gathering every scrap of evidence. I printed out every bank statement, every digital receipt, and cross-checked every unauthorized transaction with painstaking care. Each document was sorted, annotated, and organized in a way that formed an unassailable chronology of deception, leaving no room for doubt. My hands trembled as I handled the files, yet with each precise detail recorded, I could feel the surge of empowerment rising from the depths of my hurt. In the dim glow of my study, I contacted Mr. Daniels, a renowned attorney with a formidable reputation for untangling complex financial fraud. As I met him in his well-appointed office, a space filled with silent authority and cold, hard evidence, he looked over the meticulously compiled dossier and told me in a steady, resolute tone, "Ms. Carter, this evidence is rock solid. With each piece in place, we will reassert the truth and reclaim what is yours." His words not only validated my efforts, but also ignited a renewed flame of hope and resolve. Alongside him, I enlisted the expertise of forensic accountants and digital security specialists to leave no digital footprint unexamined. We spent long, relentless evenings piecing together every minute detail to construct an impenetrable timeline of the betrayal. Every meeting, every review session was a step forward in this strategic battle against deceit. When moments of uncertainty began creeping in, I found solace in the familiar refrain of Matthew 6 verse 33, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." That promise became my mantra, a constant reminder that my pursuit of justice was anchored in a higher truth. I was not setting out on this path merely to exact revenge for the sake of retribution. I was rebuilding my future on an unshakable foundation of integrity and faith. The beauty of my plan lay in its relentless attention to detail. Every document, every number, every conversation with my trusted experts contributed to a fortified case that was as organized as it was compelling. I drafted detailed reports, structured the evidence into an unbreakable dossier, and prepared every piece of information into a narrative that could not be ignored in any court of law. Each day, with the quiet determination of someone who has nothing left to lose but everything to gain, I advanced my strategy. I remade the plan into a declaration that the wrongful actions meticulously hidden in layers of deceit would be undone by the relentless light of truth. As the night deepened, I continued to intertwine every file, every note, every painstakingly gathered detail into a blueprint for my resurgence. A plan of revenge that was less about retribution and more about restoring my life, my self-respect, and the promise of a future where truth would finally prevail over betrayal. The day of reckoning had finally arrived, and the air in our once peaceful living room was thick with tension and unspoken accusations. I, Emily Carter, had meticulously gathered every shred of evidence and steeled myself for this inevitable confrontation with Jonathan, the man I had once trusted with my heart and our future. With documents neatly arranged on the coffee table and the weight of betrayal anchoring every movement, I invited him into the room under the pretense of discussing urgent business matters. As he entered, I could see the subtle shift in his demeanor, the confident mask beginning to crumble in the chill of my unwavering gaze. I began slowly, my voice trembling just enough to betray the storm raging within. "Jonathan, we need to talk," I declared, each word carved from both sorrow and determination. I laid out the damning evidence, bank statements that revealed unauthorized transfers totaling exactly $1 million, emails that hinted at secret rendezvous, and even the whispered name of a lover I never knew existed. For a moment, the room was engulfed in a heavy, suffocating silence. I observed his face as it morphed from brutish denial to sheer panic. His eyes darted between the strewn papers, as if in search of an escape from the truth that had cornered him. "How could you?" I demanded, not merely as an accusation, but as a plea for the honest man I once thought I knew. The very words sliced through the charged atmosphere, and in that raw moment, every false promise and every gentle word of reassurance he had ever given me was reduced to ashes. Jonathan's attempts at feeble justifications and stammering excuses only deepened the chasm between us. I recounted every detail of the evidence with the precision of someone who had painstakingly reconstructed a shattered life. The confrontation was not explosive in the traditional sense. There were no raised voices or dramatic gestures, but the intensity of each measured statement, each quivering pause laden with grief and resolve, reverberated with the painful clarity of betrayal. It was as if the room itself absorbed the agony of that moment, every shadow and every creak in the old floorboards bearing witness to a truth that could no longer be silenced. In that heart-wrenching exchange, I realized that this encounter was more than a mere demand for accountability. It was the reclaiming of my power, the first step toward reassembling a life that Jonathan's deceit had once threatened to destroy. And as I spoke, I felt the guiding promise of Matthew 6 verse 33 echo within me. "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." It was a solemn declaration of my intent to rise above the wreckage, to confront the darkness with the radiant light of truth and justice, even if it meant watching the person I once loved crumble before my eyes. After the confrontation, the next battle was fought not on the living room floor, but in the imposing halls of justice. I, Emily Carter, found myself stepping into a grand courtroom with every documented piece of evidence in hand. The atmosphere was heavy with quiet determination and charged anticipation. The marble floors and stern faces of onlookers reminded me that this was the sanctum where truth would finally confront deceit. I took my place alongside Mr. Daniels, my resolute attorney, who had become my unwavering ally. As the proceedings began, the room fell into a respectful hush. The weight of my story hung in the air like a silent declaration of the betrayal I had endured. Mr. Daniels methodically presented the meticulously compiled dossier, printed bank statements, annotated receipts, and digital transcripts that revealed every unauthorized transaction, amounting exactly to $1 million. Each piece of evidence was displayed with precision, echoing the painstaking hours I spent piecing together the puzzle of Jonathan's deceit. The forensic accountant's testimony, accompanied by detailed charts and timelines, transformed abstract numbers into an irrefutable narrative of fraud. I remember the moment when the digital ledger on the courtroom screen illuminated the cold, harsh reality of every penny stolen, leaving no room for doubt. Silence enveloped the courtroom during key moments. The gentle tap of the judge's gavel punctuated the air as if heralding the truth. I felt a mixture of nerves and quiet strength as I watched each fact fall into place. Every word from Mr. Daniels fortified my resolve. Every statement of evidence was a repudiation of the betrayal that had torn my world apart. In the midst of this legal showdown, the comforting promise of Matthew 6 verse 33 resonated within me. "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." It was as if that sacred verse bolstered my every step, assuring me that when righteousness leads, justice is inevitable. The judge's eventual pronouncement was a moment of both catharsis and renewal. With measured authority, he decreed that Jonathan must repay the full amount of his transgressions. In that courtroom, beneath the unyielding gaze of the law, my stolen dignity was reclaimed. The victory was not just monetary. It was the affirmation that truth, when backed by unwavering evidence and steadfast faith, could overcome even the deepest betrayal. As I glanced around the room at the faces of those bearing witness, I felt, for the first time in a long while, that justice was not a distant ideal but a tangible reality firmly within my grasp. After the courtroom battle, a long and arduous journey, I finally stepped into a moment of quiet reflection, a moment when the weight of betrayal began to lift and a new dawn emerged. I, Emily Carter, sat quietly by the window of my study, watching as the first rays of morning light bathed everything in a gentle golden glow. With the legal verdict behind me, I realized that the restitution of $1 million was not the only victory I had claimed. I had also reclaimed a part of myself that had been lost in the storm of deceit. The scars of betrayal were still there, subtle reminders of what once shattered my trust, yet they had now transformed into symbols of resilience. I began to understand that every painful chapter had led me to this powerful moment of renewal, an awakening to my inner strength and a reminder that true justice extends far beyond mere numbers. In the quiet serenity of that new morning, I reassembled the broken fragments of my life. I invested time into rebuilding not only my business but also the trust one had in myself and in others. I reconnected with old friends and forged new bonds with those who valued honesty and compassion. Every gentle step I took in that process was a lesson, a reminder that even the darkest nights give way to the light of day. I immersed myself in quiet moments of prayer and meditation, revisiting the cherished promise of Matthew 6 verse 33. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Those words became the cornerstone of my healing, guiding me to place my faith at the forefront of every decision I made. Gradually, my heart began to open to hope, and my spirit grew in confidence. I found a renewed passion for life, a passion that was now grounded in the knowledge that every trial was merely a prelude to a beautiful new beginning. I began mentoring other women who had faced similar betrayals, sharing my journey as a testament to the transformative power of resilience and faith. In that gentle glow of the early hours, I embraced a future that was not defined by my past, but illuminated by the promise of renewal. I now move forward with a heart brimming with gratitude, a spirit eager to welcome new possibilities, and a soul that knows that even after the deepest pain, there can be a rebirth of hope and a genuine reawakening of life's purpose. This is my final lesson, that from the ashes of betrayal and despair, a new beginning can rise, radiant, resilient, and forever guided by light and truth. Standing in the calm after the storm, I now take a deep, steadying breath as I close this chapter of my life with gratitude and unwavering hope. As I reflect upon each moment of despair, betrayal, and eventual triumph, I recognize a rich tapestry woven from threads of pain, justice, and redemption. Each act of deceit transformed into a lesson in resilience, every stolen dollar sparking a determination that paved the way to reclaim my self-worth. Today, I stand before you not as a victim of treachery, but as someone reborn from the ashes of a shattered past. I want my story to serve as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even the darkest nights hold the promise of a new dawn. Every ending, no matter how painful, carries within it the seed of a fresh beginning. I learned that the real victory lies not merely in recovering what was lost, but in the courageous process of rebuilding one's identity with integrity and purpose. This journey taught me that true justice is achieved when we let go of bitterness and allow the quiet power of faith and forgiveness to guide us. As I conclude this story, I invite you to embrace your own struggles with courage and to see every setback as a step toward growth. Allow the lessons of my past to inspire you. Let the light of truth dispel lingering shadows and let the promise of renewal infuse every new day with hope. Thank you for walking this path with me. A path marked by heartache, fierce retribution, and ultimately a graceful rebirth. May you carry this message in your heart, and may it guide you to find beauty and strength even in life's most unexpected turns.